For today, we're going to talk about bells and whistles. That's always fun. And I'll just show you guys where they are. These are features we've built in general to make your life easier. They're not part of the core features, but these are things that we added on because they were just really good ideas. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the final refinance report, the game-changing report that has won so many deals. So let me move over to my phone so I can get started. All right, bells and whistles. There's 10 of them in the Refinance Analyzer. And the first one, let's just actually go inside the Refinance Analyzer here. I'm going to talk about the first one, the in-app analysis. Some people may have discovered this before, but it's located right here on top. And when you tap on it, and all it is, it's a mini report. And it shows you what your current interest is. There's actually 3 sections. There's the interest, payment, and the break even you've seen before. But this is a quick way to look at the results of the report. You can tap on these things to basically isolate each of the graph. You have your current interest, all the breakdowns there is, the new interest, the savings, and then finally, what your total savings are overall. Some brokers actually take this as a screenshot and they send it to a client. So it's pretty neat. You don't really have to create a full report. You can just take a screenshot and send it because it looks good enough. Now, the other reason you might want to do a screenshot is the client is really interested in a lower payment. Although the interest doesn't look very good, you can just simply send them the portion that they're most interested in. So you can just take a screenshot of this and send it over. So here's your payment. You got your current payment and your new payment. Current payment obviously has your existing mortgage payments plus any debts, any HELOCs. It's all built in. And then your new mortgage payments contains your new payments on your new mortgage plus any equity takeout that was part of that. Also, if you haven't consolidated any debts, it'll be part of this new monthly. And you've seen the break even. So that's really a quick way to look at the analysis. And you can access this from anywhere. So if you are in the edit section, you can also access the analysis screen. Okay. Full savings schedule. Okay, so this one is down here. This graph is actually a representation of a table. And the table is actually located right below it. View full savings schedule. I just tapped on it. It is sort of a breakdown starting from the top. You got your month 1. And this one actually contains dates. So we try to estimate dates based on the monthly payments. So even if your new mortgage is bi-weekly and your current mortgage is, let's say, semi-monthly, this breakdown actually is on a monthly basis. So all things are converted and averaged out over month by month. This one really just walks through the graph and it shows you how your cost is decreasing until you get to the break-even day. And then it keeps going. You can see your savings keeps increasing. Right below it, there is 3 buttons. There's go to start, which takes you all the way up to the top. This one takes you to the break-even time. And then this one to the end. Bells and whistles. All righty. Let's exit this one. Let's look at the equity breakdown. So some of these tabs are actually expandable. You can tap on, for example, new mortgage. And you can see the details, how the new mortgage was constructed. Because it's your current mortgage plus any debt consolidated, plus any cash equity takeout, penalty and fees are rolled in. Sort of a summary of how your new mortgage was calculated. Right below the amount also shows the LTV. So you can see how close you got to your maximum LTV. Maximum LTV by default is set to 80%, which really just means take 80% of the purchase price, and that's your maximum equity that you can have, and subtracts, of course, the current mortgage, and that's the amount you can actually take out. So this one will show you how close you are to the max LTV. Right below it is the equity, the available equity. So here you can see what your total equity is, your maximum equity, and you can see right below it, it says 80% of the property value minus your current mortgage. You got 180 total equity. The access shows currently how much equity from the total was accessed. So you got 27,000, which was your penalty and rolled in fees, your debt consolidated, and if there was any cash equity takeout. So don't forget, these things are expandable and you can open them up. Even this one is expandable, the mortgage balance. And this has to do with the graph. It tells you what your mortgage balance is at that time, plus how much interest you've paid up until that point. All right, let's move on to the max LTV. So we touched a little bit on the LTV, and generally it's 80% of the property value, but you can adjust that. So under edit, right in the second row, there's the maximum LTV. So you can actually increase or decrease it. If you decrease it, you have less equity that you can take out. So just watch out for that, because if you have debts consolidated, then it will adjust them for you. Let's actually do one. Let's go super low, 50%. You can see that previously I had consolidated debts, but right now, because I decreased my max LTV, which decreases your equity, those debts can no longer be consolidated. So the app does a reverse avalanche. It takes the least interest and deconsolidates it. In other words, it just focuses on the highest interest and tries to consolidate them first before moving on. And if I set it back to something higher, of course, my debts are not automatically consolidated again, so I have to go and make sure that they are consolidated. Which takes us to the next one here, debt payoff time. So I didn't show you this in the last one, but there's a cool feature in here under debts. So you can see my debts are not consolidated, but let's make them consolidated again just by tapping on it. One pretty cool feature I find is that when you deconsolidate, it tells you right below it how long it takes to pay off this debt. So this one, this Tesla, this car loan would have been 3 years and 9 months. And it's just using current payment, balance, and the rate, and it figures out when the actual term ends. So this one is 3 years, 9 months. And when I do consolidate, it says it's paid off with refinance because you're doing a refi. Personal loan will do the same thing, paid off in 5 years and 2 months. And this one, the credit cards, because I believe we said interest only. Let's see what it says if I not consolidate this one. It tells you it's interest only. So basically never. Okay, so that's that paid off time. Rolling cap. This moves us over to the fees. So these are the fees you would be paying as part of the refi. Generally, it's your prepayment penalty. You can add in your discharge fee, other fees. Brokers use this to add in their own fees as well. Legal fees, appraiser fee, and then we get something at the bottom here that says rolling cap. So as far as I know, there are lenders that allow you to do a refi or a switch. They will basically say you can roll in up to $3,000 before hitting a penalty. So in this case, you would just add in the $3,000 here. And what it's going to do is it's going to sum up your total fees here, but it's only going to add in the $3,000 to the new mortgage. The rest, it says right here, it's paid cash. So there's $24,000 that the client has to pay cash if they want to take advantage of this. If you want to reset it, you just set it back to 0. And now it's going to roll in the entire penalty and fees. If you don't want it to roll in and the client actually wants to pay it cash, you can just turn it off. You can see that I'm actually saving more if I pay it off cash. Of course, it makes sense, right? Because I will be investing, what is it, $27,000. And let's move on to the next. Let me keep it as rolled in. That's a good idea. Customizing amortization. So some people want to decrease their time so they can just set it down to new amortization. This is not the same thing as doing extra payments. The extra payments is a little bit is handled a little bit different. This is contractual new amortization. So generally, what I find is that brokers set the amortization to the highest possible, because that way the payments are lower, and then they can ask their clients to pay more. Because in a situation where you are not able to pay more contractually, you don't have to. You can stop paying extra, and you won't be penalized. But this one here, this particular feature we didn't have before, so I just wanted to point it out. Now, the lowest amortization you can go is actually the term. So if your term is, say, 5 years, and I set the amortization something lower than that, let's say 4, it tells me, sorry, no, you can't do that. And it sets it to the max, which is equal to the term or greater. So that's that. And let's move on. Interest-only new mortgage. Some clever broker brought this up a while ago because we didn't have the ability to create a new mortgage that's interest-only. But you can set that by tapping on the payment frequency. We had to put it somewhere, so we put it in the payment frequency. But here is, so you can actually change the loan type to be interest-only, which surprisingly, I mean, not surprisingly, the time savings is uncomputable because it's interest only. But your payments are quite lower than regular payments. There we go. Okay, so we're back to default. Auto match payments. All right, so this one is pretty cool. If the payments have been lowered, some clients want to move that savings over as an extra payment in order to reduce more interest and also save more time. To quickly figure it out that you always want to match the payments, you have to calculate the difference between your current payment and your new payment, take that amount and plug it in somewhere. We made it super easy with just a switch. You just tap on it and it will match the payments. Of course, you have to watch out. You can't go over the contractual prepayment max amount. Some lenders do it for 20%. You can only increase 20%. So make sure that if you do turn this on, you're not going over that maximum limit. And I think I did something here where it actually gone way over. It's probably my debt payments. But the cool part about this switch is that it will work no matter what. So whenever you're changing the scenario itself in some form, it will always try to keep the same payments. And last but not least is the cash equity takeout. So we know here that the available equity is, so I can technically take out $83,000. We could get closer. There we go. So I maxed my cash equity takeout. So you can use this to increase your new mortgage as well. It's not exactly like a HELOC because it's going to use the rate of the new mortgage, not the different HELOC rate. But in the future, we'll definitely add in ability for you to break apart the new mortgage amount into several mortgages as well as a HELOC. So that's coming, just not there yet. Okay, so those were the bells and whistles. Let's get to the real spiel.